Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rami and welcome to a brand new video series on my channel. I've set myself a challenge to beat every game for the Nintendo Gamecube live on my Twitch channel over the next few years. As this is the first video in the series, I've decided to explain a few aspects of the challenge so you can understand what to expect from it moving forwards. First of all, we'll be aiming to beat all titles for the Gamecube, regardless of region. Therefore, the total number of games is a whopping 651. I originally set on a lower number, and some of the footage you're going to see of the first two videos is going to reflect this, but I ultimately decided to go all in, and from the third video of the series on, the stream overlay will reflect that. Secondly, what does it mean to beat a game? This will vary by title. Some games will be straightforward, where it's as simple as finishing the campaign or the story. Others might be more grey, something like Smash Bros. Melee. The definition of beating the game will be explained each video on a title-by-title basis. Lastly, a little bit of information on the order in which we play the games. The format I've chosen is as follows. Every pick ending in a 1 through 4 will be selected at random. The current method is spinning a wheel that contains each and every title from the list. Every pick ending in a 5 will be chosen by the community. Over the course of several weeks on my live streams, we will select 3 different titles for you all to vote on. This vote will take place on my Discord server, which can be found in the description. This gives you some say in if there is a particular title you're interested in seeing, and it should promote having some of these more premium titles like Mario Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion more frequently. Next, every 10th pick will be a free game selection by myself. This will once again allow me to ensure we enjoy diversity and more popular titles, but will also allow me to show some of the more obscure GameCube titles that I loved growing up and I'd love to share with you all. The fourth and final aspect of game order is that if we are playing a game that is part of a series, such as Mario Parties 4 through 6 or Pikmin 1 and 2, we'll always default to the earliest title in the series. This not only helps prevent playing narrative-based games backwards, but will also avert a situation where we play a sequel with better or more fleshed out mechanics before its less refined predecessor. Now that I've explained the general structure that this series will adhere to, it's time to pick our first title. What will it be? Mario Sunshine? Pikmin? The Wind Waker? Let's find out. So, let's see which game we'll be starting with this Sunday. I am thinking maybe I should choose the one we do first, so we start on a high. Let's spin the wheel, and if I don't like it, I might just choose the first one, just so we start on a high. I don't think that's a terrible idea. Alright, let's spin the horrendous wheel. Top angler, real bass fishing. Alright, I might look into that. I might see how long it's gonna take. That's hilarious. Do it. Alright, so we'll be doing a fishing game this Sunday. Yes, that's right. The first title of the series is a fishing game. Not only that, a game that for all my digging on the internet may as well not exist. To call this title obscure would be an understatement. There are no records of it on how long to beat or any speedrunning site, and the game FAQs page is completely barren. Honestly, with the exception of a couple of long play style YouTube videos and an IGN review, you would be forgiven for thinking I made this game up. Ultimately though, while it may have been nice to start the series off with a bang, I think this is a far better representation of what this challenge is all about. Playing a large cross-section of GameCube games, from the creme de la creme to the downright obscure. Now that we have our first title ready to play, let's dive in. You guys have to let me know how the volume is. It's so bad. As we load into the game, it quickly becomes apparent that there is no real story or campaign mode to Top Angler. I concluded that the definition of beating this game is to win the tournament mode. This requires placing first in a Mario Kart-esque tourney, where you score points each round and the winner is determined by the highest total score at the end of stage 5. Once I had loaded into the first stage, a problem quickly arose. There is no tutorial, and the game provides next to no information on how it should be played. I checked all the game modes, including practice, and there was not even a summary of the control scheme. Furthermore, due to the incredibly obscure nature of the title, I could not find a copy of the manual anywhere, save for purchasing on eBay. Now, I did manage to find a copy of the manual for the PlayStation 2 version of the game. However, this once again offered me no help. The instructions are vague at best and don't even reference button inputs. It will mention mechanics like reeling in, with no actual instruction on how one would do this. Despite this pretty major hurdle, I decided to brute force it and learn the game as we went. The gameplay loop is very simple. Find and catch bass and try to reach the highest possible weight in that round of the tournament. Each bass you catch will be one of 4 sizes: small, medium, big, and super big. You are allowed 5 bass per stage. After you reach 5, any catch that is lighter than those that you're already holding will be automatically released, and any that is heavier will replace the lightest one that you have. Now, unfortunately, there are some pretty major flaws with this system. The most egregious of these is that until you reach the end of the stage and turn your fish in for judging, you have no idea how much weight it takes to win that stage. My first time around on some stages, I would reach a weight total I was very confident with, and I'd weigh in early only to find out that I was 5th place or below. With the tournament working like Mario Kart, one com will always be scoring in the top 3 each round, and in order for you to win, you'll only be on the top 2 positions yourself in almost every stage. Since you wouldn't know the required weight ahead of time, and if you weigh in too light to score well, it could jeopardize your chance to win the tournament, this could lead to many frustrating restarts. In fact, on my first attempt at the tournament, I was confident with the weight on the first stage, but when I weighed in, I was in 24th position. It was only upon reaching round 3 that I realized I had absolutely no chance of winning, and I had to restart the entire tournament from round 1. Yeah, I'm gonna quit out and start again. We'll be able to play faster because I can play better, but I don't think I can win the tournament in this position. So we'll do the first stage. We'll actually crush it this time, hopefully, and then we'll be able to actually win, in theory. You'll notice a timer on the top of the screen. Each stage has a time limit of 12 hours, with each in-game minute equating to 5 real-time seconds. This means that you have 36 minutes per stage in order to reach the designated weight goal to win said round. Now, in some stages, if you get lucky, you might be able to weigh in incredibly quickly. I'm sure if you optimize the game, you could finish each stage in a matter of minutes. But on other stages, I was finding myself really struggling to find enough weight to win, and I was going right up until the last second. Now, the initial mechanics are pretty simple. You're able to move the boat left and right over a fixed path around the body of the water that the stage is set on. You're also able to move the reticle that marks where you are casting your line into. Pressing the left trigger enables you to zoom in, and if there is a bass on the location that you're looking at that's close enough to the surface, you can scout them this way. The other thing that you can do is press the B button to go into the lure menu. So there's 4 different types of lures, each of which is meant to be used in different depths and locations. I'll be totally honest, I found this mechanic was almost totally redundant. There were a couple of lures that I acquired early on, like the spinner, which just seemed to be universally overpowered. I spent most of the game running 2 or 3 lures, the rest of them were completely useless to me. If you look in the manual, it does have a big breakdown on lure types, so the material it's made of, what season you're supposed to use it in, what weather, all sorts of different things. But again, I just didn't find that I needed to really recognize this mechanic as a thing. It's pretty easy to brute force just using, your lure of choice. Now, once you've decided on a place to fish and your choice of lure, you press the A button and a golf game-style interface appears dictating the power of your cast. I generally found myself wanting to go for the most powerful cast at nearly all times, as this would offer the greatest level of control when scouting and catching. I only use lesser amounts of power on stage 4, and that's due to the stage having some structures that get in the way otherwise. The final mechanics are related to scouting and actually catching the bass. Once your line is cast, you'll be given a changing over and underwater perspective to help you find the bass you'd like to catch. Now, while this camera is initially a cool concept, providing a diverse range of angles which you can use to look around, it quickly becomes apparent that there is no player control over this feature. This often leads to the camera having a mind of its own and flying all over the place. This makes it extremely frustrating when trying to maneuver your line, as you're often working completely blind. But once you have your eyes on the target, it's time to catch a bass. You cast your line close to them and try to attract their attention. I got 2 fish here, dudes. 2 fish. Alright, let's line it up. Let's get one of these. Go to the market and buy a fish. That's the smart way of playing. I think these fish might be bugged. Either that or they've just lost interest. Let's try. I'll do that fact in a second. Let's do the straight and go to deep waters and see. Alright, here we go. Yeah. Come on, dude. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yes! Medium. Let's go. I'll take it. I'll take a medium. All right. And that is effectively the whole game. Find fish by moving the boat around and scouting for them with the weird underwater camera. Try to interest them in the lure by moving it in front of them, and once they bite, you partake in an epic battle between man and fish. Once a fish bites, you need to quickly press the reel to hook it. Annoyingly, more than half the time, this completely fails. It seemed the bigger fish and later stages of the tournament had this happen more often. Once the fish is hooked, it's on. You press the reel button and keep the line tight enough to bring the fish toward the boat. If the line turns blue or white, it's getting too loose. Orange and red means it's getting too tight. Every now and then, arrows flash on the screen. Half the time I pressed the same direction as them, the other half I pressed away. I honestly still have no clue which was correct. Once the fish gets within arm's reach, you keep reeling it in and try to nudge it in the right direction so your guy can finally land it. At this point, you get told what size the bass is and how many points it's worth. The tournament mode that I needed to win in order to beat the game is pretty straightforward. We had 5 stages to make our way through, all with unique weather and conditions. The first stage we made our way through is the Lodge, a tranquil fishing lake in the spring. I spent a ridiculous amount of time on this stage, as I had to figure out the mechanics without help, and had to trial and error my way to a win. Thankfully, after more tries than I'd like to admit, we finally managed to land an absolute beast of a bass. This is really infuriating. It's right there. We know the fish we need. If we catch this guy, I'm pretty sure we win this round. He just won't take it. Yes! Please! 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 Yes! Oh my god, be the 11! Be the 11! Is that super big? Super. Oh! I didn't even know super big existed in the first stage. Dude, I think I win. And so thankfully, after a great amount of trial and error, we finally managed to get 5 bass with a total weight that was high enough to win the first round. Once again, it's a Mario Kart style-esque tournament where every round that you win gets you a certain number of points, and by the end of the 4 first rounds, if you are the person that has the highest number of points, you get to go to the final stage. Honestly, the gameplay is very simple and repetitive, so I'm going to spare you a play-by-play of every stage. But we effectively followed that same gameplay loop of scouting, hooking, and catching the biggest bass that we could through the next 3 rounds. These locations were the forest, an isolated lake with only a small cabin nearby, the park, a much more urban location with some new terrain consisting of ramps and more obstructions, and finally the 4th area is simply named Reed. This is a stage with a lot of verticality, easily boasting the deepest water of the 4, and was pretty frustrating. There were many obstacles obscuring the line of sight, including a large amount of columns underneath the pier. So in theory, it's a pretty simple game, right? No. Despite having simple mechanics, the execution is anything but impressive. I would say 90% of our playthrough was spent with fish not even reacting to the lure. Then if they did, they would just lose interest. Finally, if they took a bite, they would just immediately unhook or break the line. Let me give you a nice supercar of how we spent almost 6 hours of our time. Yes, come on, baby. Aw, what? Where are you going? Yes? 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 What? What? Yeah? Yeah. Pause jump. Fish pause. Yes? Come on. Come on. You know you want this. Dude, what an absolute debate fish. Yeah, it's all yours. It's all yours. Nom nom nom. It's too slow, dude. Come on. Yes. Jesus, that was so close. What? Oh, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It told me to go left and I did. It feels really inconsistent. This is my only moan, is you do what it tells you to and it breaks. Guess we'll find out. Ooh, that's close. Yeah, I should show you guys the inputs in future games like someone suggested, because like this game's really, really difficult. Yeah, that's not him. Nah, way too small. This game is actually difficult. Now then, despite all of this, with a great deal of perseverance, many a reset, and more than a few choice expletives, we finally were able to reach the last stage, the ruins. At this point, I'd been playing the game for over 6 hours. We'd constantly been resetting, and I was really, really frustrated. But then we had a whole new pain to deal with. There is a waterfall on the ruins stage that would cause the game to completely chug, whenever it was even remotely visible. A lot of the biggest bass that I wanted were located near this waterfall, so we had to not only fight against the wonky mechanics of the game, we now had a lag fiesta too. In spite of all of this, after a grand total of 8 hours, we were able to find the final bass that we needed. One of these two, surely. If they could just stop missing the bait, one of these two might do it. Come on, it's lagging. Please. It's right there. It's right there. Yes, please. Please. Oh, yes! It's big! It's super big!
Super big!
Please! Okay.
Oh, new record size.
Is that enough? I have 35 pounds, 10 ounces. If I turn that in now, I come in 8th and I get 10 points. I think I can win from that. So there you go. We laughed, we cried, we fished. But after 8 painstaking hours, I managed to bring home this mammoth of a trophy and could finally call myself Top Angler. After finishing each game in the series, we are giving them a score out of 10 for both difficulty and enjoyment. These scores will be recorded on a spreadsheet that is linked in the description below. The spreadsheet also contains a list of the games we have played, the time taken to beat them, the date they were played on, as well as the full list of GameCube games should you wish to check those out. And that concludes my adventure with a completely obscure fishing game on my favorite system. But before we end today's video, we need to see which game we'll be playing next. Let's roll the next game. Game number 2 of the GameCube Challenge.
Top Angler.
Game number 2 of the GameCube Challenge. Scooby-Doo Unmasked. Alright, so next up we have Scooby-Doo Unmasked. After the absolute ordeal that was Top Angler, I'm cautiously optimistic that Scooby-Doo will be a bit more of a relaxed experience. But in order to find out, you'll need to join me and the gang for the next one. Thank you so very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. This is my first majorly edited video ever, and I'm super excited to refine this series as we go. Currently, I do these live playthroughs every Monday on my Twitch channel, which is linked in the video description below. If you're interested in hanging out with us and watching us play these live, then consider dropping that a follow. Lastly, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps a ton for a new channel like mine. It's a massive motivation boost while I'm starting out. Let me know in the comments if you have any feedback or are looking forward to a particular GameCube game in this series. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.